What's going on, everybody? This is Warren Dews, Vice President of Capital Region Independent Media, and NYVT Media is one of our companies that we own. I'm here out in near the Granville area, and I'm here to talk to someone, an owner of a business, but he's also the mayor of Granville. Say hello.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
Not much.
So he's going to take me on a tour of his business. I was very intrigued when I met him, and I came out here to learn more about it. So we're going to be out here learning more about this business and what he does and how long his family's been owning this. So get ready to get some really good information. Let's roll. So where are we now?
So now we're crossing over from where the Vermont Black was, and we're going over to where most of the sea green quarries are located. Now, mind you that this whole hill is called Briar Hill. This is exactly 1 mile away from the village of Granville, to the east. Years ago, when the men were working in Granville, that's what Granville got started as. It's the colored slate capital of the world. All the men used to hike. They used to walk to work. And Briar Hill, which is the name of the hill, it's a pretty big hike uphill. And guys used to take their dinner pails home or to work. On the way home, they used to pick berries and blackberries. So Briar Hill is known because, for some reason, the first crop that comes out after slate waste is dumped, like you see, is blackberries.
Really?
And we'll pass a bunch of them on the way back. And in another month or so, we have blackberries like you would not believe.
All over the place.
Unbelievable. Which in part brings bears, and we have wildlife and deer and bears, and it's very strange. But yeah, some of the wild blackberries that we get, sometimes you could pick a 5-gallon pail full in a 5-foot area. It's insane.
Do you know why?
I don't know. It must be something to do with nature, a starter crop. I mean, a bird goes by and drops a seed and whatever, it gets spread. But it's a first, like a starter crop. But they seem to stick around. They like the soil, I guess, or they like the rocky dirt, whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but it's kind of nice. We get raspberries and blackberries, but that's the name why it's been called Briar Hill forever.
Now, looking way over that way, you'll probably go that far over?
Yes. We go all the way down to this property right now is not my property. We have rights away, and I've leased mineral rights on this land back here that we're on right now. As you go that way, all of the quarries you could see way off in the distance are basically in one big line. It's a vein that gets chased. And you just follow the vein of stone, and it's dotted with different companies. You can have Greenstone, Slate Co.
So what's that down there? And how deep is that water?
That water right there, well, we haven't pumped that one out yet. That was shut down during the Depression, and it just hasn't been pumped out. It's probably, from the water level, I'm going to say a good 100 or more feet of water. Yeah.
Is it fish in it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of rock bass, small fish. There's a lot of perch. People years ago would fish Lake St. Catherine, and they would come back and they'd throw fish in here. We have a lot of northern pike. There's a lot of good fishing for northern pike here.
Is it edible?
Oh God, yeah. It's crystal clear water. I mean, look at how blue that water is. It's like, it's very clean.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's clearer than most lakes that I know around here.
You're right about it. I don't think the camera could do justice of it. It's just 100 feet deep, really?
Yeah, from that water level, and it's probably 100 feet to the water level from the top of the ground. And mind you, that was all dug by hand. There's not even a road into that quarry. So all these quarries were mined with cord sticks and cables and pickaxe and shovel. But, I mean, at one point in time, this hill, Briar Hill, they had close to 3,000 men working on it, too. That's in, like, the entire population of the village of Granville is now.
So I'm sorry to just stay on this point, but I see all this rock and stuff on the side. You gave me a reason why you can't use it, because it could get damaged because of the things that you mentioned. But could it be sold for something? I mean, could people use it for something?
Everybody that comes up here that I show, and I give them tours, and they look at those piles, that is the most asked question out of everybody's mouth. We've tried. We crush it. The problem is the slate is actually a softer stone.
Okay,
So when you crush it down and you put it into smaller size, like it sits there like that, and you can't really use it for road base, for anything like that. It's excellent fill, don't get me wrong. If you're trying to fill in a great big hole for property and put soil
that's what
on
I'm talking
top.
about, just a regular person. Like a regular.
It's fine for that. It's excellent. But as far as like for aggregate material, for anything like construction-wise, road building,
It's not
asphalt
strong
or anything, it just breaks down. And then eventually, like these roads that you see that's all made of this stuff, it goes back to mud.
Okay, I got you.
It's all it is a metamorphosized clay.
I got you.
Pressed clay.
Yeah. Oh, I want to get this is the water we were just talking about, yo.
You're on the other end of it.
That is beautiful. Next time I'm coming and bringing my rod.
Fish biting down there now. See the ripples?
Oh, okay.
Right in the middle. It's just tough to get down there. Like I said, years ago, they used to have big cables that would go across with these buckets. And the men used, that's how they got in and out of the quarry. They would ride those things down. Of course, OSHA or NMSHA wouldn't allow that.
Wouldn't allow that, yeah. You ever scared of like this stuff caving in? Is it?
This stuff here, once it's piled, it's not gonna. Everybody thinks it's gonna slide. It doesn't slide.
Okay.
I mean, if you get a good solid rainstorm, it might, a couple pieces will roll off, but it's not like it's gonna landslide. Wow. So this is the green and the purple. If you can look at that wall right straight in front of you, you can see like a big mass of purple right dead center.
Yeah.
And then the brighter greenish color on the outer edges of it. There's one vein of purple that runs through that quarry, and it's only about 8 to 10 foot thick. And then it goes back to this unfading green color, which is a very, very pretty, it's almost like a grassy green, very bright. And been stripping top, and they've been mining this to get onto that color for about 20 years on that one there. And if you look, you see all these little things sticking out of the ground here on this chunk of stone here on the top. Those are actually drilled holes that pillar has been drilled, and those little things are actually tar paper that they plug the holes with to keep the water and the dust and the dirt out. So that's that hole, or those line of holes are ready to be loaded and fired when they need to go. So you got a guy constantly, there's a drilling rig right up there. They're constantly drilling and constantly staying ahead of the guys in the excavators and the trucks, because that's key to keep the rock moving, to keep everything ahead of time developed out.
And there's more water over there.
Yep. That's another quarry that's actually inactive right now. People will see these quarry pits full of water and they'll say, oh, it's shut down or it's abandoned. That's not true. We'll let them fill up with water because it actually protects the stone that we have in there for freezing in the middle of the winter if we're not ready to mine that yet. You let it fill up with water to protect it, because the ice will only form about a foot down, just like a lake.
Okay.
And then you've got water again, so it keeps it at a non-freezing temperature. But we manage water all the time. Like sometimes we'll pump water from one quarry back to another quarry, depending on the color that we're chasing.
So I remember when I first met you, we were talking, and you were talking about you have some land in different places where you're going to level it out and put a lake and do those types of things.
This is one of them.
This is one of them.
When I retire, I'd love to. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Level everything off, put an excavator on it, make it a nice area, campsites. They come in for Airbnbs, put little tiny houses on them. This is great because you're in the middle of the wilderness. It's very quiet. Kind of going right into the bowels of the earth here. And you see what he's doing. He's actually stripping the stone, or stripping the rubble off the stone to get down to better rock.
So what is he dumping in there?
That's just rubble stone that he's going to throw away.
He's going to throw it.
Yeah.
It's to get out of the way. Okay.
Yeah, it's rubbish. He's clearing off that pillar, that great big wall of rock. He's digging down. He's already been, dug it down that far, so he's digging out the bottom of it to prepare. Then the guys will come back and they'll drill. You can already see the line holes where they took the other shots.
I see. Yeah.
They already took a shot off of that. So they'll step back up on top after he's done clearing everything off. They'll drill it, blast it away again, and then he'll sort through and pull the stone. It's like I say, the driller comes in, and the guys come in digging the rock and moving the overburden to get down to it.
How many people you have working here doing all this stuff?
There's actually 2 to 3 men per hole.
Okay.
With their excavator. You have a truck driver and an excavator operator. And then they'll have a driller that'll come in separate.
There's a big thing that says no smoking.
Yeah.
Because gas?
Fuel.
Oh,
It's a fuel tank.
Oh, it's a fuel tank. Okay.
Here's the point where I'm talking about the spring water coming in.
Oh, okay.
See that waterfall?
Hold on, let me get it.
That's right out of the rock.
That's amazing.
So this quarry has been quarried probably since, I'm going to say it was right after the Civil War. This quarry opened, and it was a very high producer of the sea green color, which probably 90% of the slate roofs, like in the village of Granville, and most of the roofing that was done in the early 1900s was of this color stone. It's in pretty high demand still because most of the good colors of the sea green were pretty much mined out because they didn't want the blacks and the grays and the purples back then. Purples back in the 30s were approved and strictly for government buildings. That's why you'll see a lot of post office, things like that. The sea green color it was another government project that but that's kind of what they specified. And slate from this valley, because it is what they call an S1 quality stone. S1 meaning the hardness scale of it and the longevity of it being on a roof. During 9/11, when the Pentagon and the plane went into the Pentagon, the Pentagon has Vermont sea green slate on the building. And right away, there was a direct order from the federal government, came through Evergreen Slate Company, and they wanted to build back the building as soon as possible, of course. Well, all of the slate quarry operators had teamed together, and because there was about maybe 2 or 3 dozen operators back then, and went right after the sea green quarries, what little pockets that we had left in our quarries, and we mined it out and reproduced that roof for the Pentagon and rebuilt that thing in record time. And it went through Evergreen Slate Company, and there's a plaque down at the Slate Museum, an actual piece of some of the slate that had blown up with the burn marks and everything as memorial. That was a very, a time that most every operator in the valley worked together on one project. Of course, everybody wants to work together, sometimes, but when money gets in the way, that can kind of disrupt a relationship. That wasn't about the money. That was about the country's pride.
Yep.
And that was a real big thing for us to get together like that. And it was a very, you carry a lot of pride to this day.
So all that's on that building now came from here?
All the slate came from this valley, yes.
That's amazing.
Yep, right here in Vermont. And most of your federal buildings do have Vermont slate on it. Beautiful roof right in Granville on the Granville Post Office. I think Hudson Falls has got the same one, but most of your federal buildings, big buildings like Harvard, your colleges, universities, things like that, big brick buildings, they want it to last, and this is the product that you're going to put on it. If you look right to your right, straight up underneath, and you'll see how that is like dug out and undermined. That's what those old timers used to do. I mean, that's nothing that we did. We were not allowed, number one. Number two, you wouldn't get me to do it. But back then, people were indispensable, you know. They put them underneath those overhangs to work and to drill, and they were pickaxing and pry iron that stuff off. And look how it lays. One little crack, and that thing's going to slide at you about 100 miles an hour. Yeah. It's laying right on a slant, you know. But back then, if you got killed or maimed or whatever, there was just 10 men standing on the other side of the quarry waiting to take your job. So there was no workers' compensation. There was no OSHA or MSHA for mining safety, anything like that. So it was just a big free-for-all. But, yeah, hardened skills come with hardened bodies, I guess.
That's crazy. So, I mean, there's a lot of lives attached to this.
If you read back in the Granville Sentinel in your paper there, go back into the archives every week. There was somebody getting maimed, killed, crushed, broken legs, you name it. You know, not only falls were very popular. Men setting up pumping equipment in the middle of the winter, sliding in and sliding under the ice and being trapped. And it was just one thing after the other. But like I say, there was a lot of people that were looking for work. And they did it because the country that they came from was worse than what this was for some reason. And that's, you know, pretty scary. And you hear a lot about the immigrants today, especially, you know, and I don't, you know, I get it. It's the American dream. People want to come here, but come here and do it legally. Do it legally and get a job. And there's plenty of work here to be had. There's plenty of work. That's the key thing about this industry, especially this one. This is hard work. This is very hard labor. It's also a skill. And the skill's being lost because it used to be handed down in tradition, you know, working for your father. I learned from my father. He learned from his father. He learned from his father. And it was just passed along. But nowadays, there's nobody that wants to do this anymore. So this pile that you see here is the raw block that comes out of the quarry. This has been pulled by the excavator and mined out of the quarry that we just went to and separated. They try to pick out the best stone that they can, and they put it in a truck, and then they'll haul it to the yard to be processed into slate. So it starts off as raw block form, and we will cleave this stuff down. You see some of these chunks are rather thick. We break them down into smoother, smaller slabs so they'll fit under the saw. And then I'll take you inside and show you how that's done. So these are what they call a bridge saw, and these are diamond blades that are on there. This is a 28-inch blade, and what it does is it saws through the stone. So you have a raw block on this side here. This is actually what you just saw in the yard. They're loaded onto these rolls, which roll it through that up to the blade, and then we cut to a rough size dimension that we're making the order for, whether it be 1812 or 2012 or 2412, whatever size the order is for the slate. We saw it to approximate size, and then it's rolled down the rolls, and then I'll show you how it's done after that. And like I say, people think this process is all done by a machine and it comes off like a printing press. It's not. Every piece is hand split. Every piece of slate that you see on a roof is hand split. So this is a sawed block of stone, okay? I'll roll it down here and I'll show you how it's done. So what you're doing is you're shooting for 1/4-inch thick pieces of stone, of slate. So you have a solid block, as you can see here. This chisel is basically made out for the size of 8 slates, okay? So it's 2 inches wide. We mark it, and then you find your nice cleave, try to get a good seam. And again, this may look like I'm doing this fast, but it took years to get to this point, but you'll see how this stuff works.
Oh my goodness.
There it is, perfect quarter inch. Now there's stone that hasn't seen sunlight in about 7 million years. And there it is. And there's no two pieces that are alike. Every piece is different. Like you'll see that piece of a fossiling there. Now here it is. A quarter of an inch thick difference from the same stone and it's gone. So there's no two pieces that are alike. And you'll get things in the stone that are inclusions like pyrite, flint, joint, like you can see, like right here, the work. See how that didn't come even? And that's your battle. That's your battle because you're always fighting Mother Nature, and she doesn't like to be very nice. So you're constantly fighting Mother Nature, and that's where you develop your skill to try to get it back to a profitable product that you can sell. So I worked in the quarry for almost 12 years with my father before I was allowed to touch these tools.
Man, that was amazing. I'm sitting like you just did that right in front of me. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all hand split, and every piece is then hand trimmed and punched with nail holes in it, and then it's nailed on a roof.
So what would this be used for? Roof?
This is all roofing.
This is all roofing. Okay.
All roofing. Yep. All right. Yep. We make it by the pallet full. We ship the pallet to the trimmers. Another machine that automatically trims the stuff right to a perfect square, punches 2 nail holes in it, then it goes to the installer where they can nail it onto the roof.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah. But again, it's all hand split. Nobody realizes that.
Cool.
So that's the process, and that's the quarry and end of it.
Awesome, man.
If anybody's looking for work, we're hiring.
So if you had one word or phrase to explain your life and doing this, what would you say? What would that phrase be, or that one word?
I think that one word is going to be, for me, is passion.
Passion? Okay.
Passion in life, about passion for anything. I don't care if it's for your work, if it's for your hobby, or if it's for your relationship. You need passion. You need passion. Like the way I feel about my work is the same way I feel about my village, my community, and the people. That's why I love my job as mayor. I like to put as much in to it as I possibly can. Granted, it's definitely not there for the money. There's no money in it, but the passion to be able to help out the community and make it a better place to live for everybody that wants to come here, and to teach and to learn as I'm going along, because I learn something new every day, and I think that's it. But it's the passion about the business that I like to do, and you can't be afraid to lose, because when you're passionate about something, you're going to fail. But when you keep that passion, you'll go back to it. It's like anything. It's like an addiction.
Well, listen, I appreciate this, man. This has been exciting. I thank you for sharing this with us. As I tell you, I didn't mention this earlier, but this is part of our we call it community conversations, and this is under the umbrella of Get to Know. I wanted to get to know you as a person, as the mayor, as someone that's a part of our community, and thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
I thank you for coming, and I'm glad to have you.
Thanks.
Anytime.